Welcome to another exciting edition of Corruption Must Go, ICPC's weekly television program. I am your host, Hawa Sani Garba. Located in a serene environment of Kefi Town, Nasarawa State, the Anti-Corruption Academy of Nigeria, ACAN, was set up to enhance a multidisciplinary approach to the fight against corrupt practices and other related offenses through training, research, documentation, and advisory services. Today's edition focuses on the Anti-Corruption Academy of Nigeria, the training and research arm of ICPC, and its achievements in driving the National Anti-Corruption Project in 2022, and projection for the year 2023. But first, Ruth is standing by with updates on happenings around the Commission. Over to you, Ruth.
Welcome to this segment on Anti-Corruption Stories. I am Ruth Awudi. An officer of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, Niger State Command, Anthony Damisa, has been arraigned by ICPC for alleged forgery and making a false statement. Damisa was docked before Honorable Justice M.E. Aneni of the Federal Capital Territory High Court 3, sitting in Maitama, Abuja, Nigeria's capital. ICPC, in a charge filed before the trial court, alleged that the accused person used a forged Bachelor of Science degree in Public Administration from Enugu State University of Science and Technology, ASUT, as well as a forged National Diploma Certificate in General Agriculture from the College of Agriculture, Yandev, Benue State, to seek higher placement in the Corps. ICPC also informed the court of how investigation activities reveal that the certificates presented by the defendant to his employer did not emanate from the claimed institutions. The commission, in a 4-count charge, is further accusing the defendant of making false statements to officers of ICPC while on their official duties. When the charges were read to him, the accused person entered a not guilty plea, and his counsel, Ibrahim Al-Hassan, thereafter raised a bail application on behalf of his client, which was not opposed by the prosecution counsel, ABA Oglafa. The accused person was then admitted to bail in the sum of 2 million naira and a surety in like sum, who must be a civil servant not below grade level 10. He was also ordered to deposit either his international passport or driver's license, as well as 2 passport photographs. The matter has been adjourned for commencement of hearing. That will be all on this segment. Corruption Must Go continues with Hawa. Stay with us.
If you are just tuning in, this is Corruption Must Go. The Anti-Corruption Academy of Nigeria recorded some significant achievements in 2022. The provost of the academy, Professor Gabriel Olatunde Babawale, discusses some of these achievements of the academy in 2022. the vision of ACAN, and how individuals and organizations can benefit from the academy.
Don't forget that the ICP itself has as part of its mandate not just law enforcement but also prevention of corruption. And in order to strengthen that corruption prevention aspect of its mandate, it established the Anti-Corruption Academy. And since then, the academy has been engaged in training. Not only that, it has been involved in research and documentation, as well as advisory services to government and private sector organizations on how to fight corruption. Indeed, one of the guiding philosophies of the academy is that we believe that corruption can be controlled and managed through a process of training and retraining. And that when you train and retrain people in an organization, the result will be first to reduce the level of corruption, to ensure that you have very sound management policies, to also ensure that you have a sound management culture in that kind of organization. And once you have those two, there will be operational efficiency. ACAN has been able to live up to the expectations of the founding fathers, largely because it has succeeded in training individuals. At the last count, as at early this year, it had trained over 19,450 individuals, and it had organized over 198, close to 200 programs. That in itself is a feat, and since 2020, when we had the problem of COVID, we've taken as part of our modus operandi training people virtually. Out of these 19,000, you have had close to 500, precisely 436 people have been virtual participants in our program. Last year, 2022, we had over 2,000 participants at our numerous programs, and 2,138 to be precise. And out of that 2,138 for 2022, you had 2,055 on-site participants and 83 virtual participants. Now, that's not just it. It has succeeded in helping the ICPC itself to enhance the knowledge of its staff, to enhance their professionalism through the numerous training programs that they've had to attend at ACAN. Similarly, it has done that for officials in the public and private sector, especially those in the public sector. We have also gone, as part of our mandate, to engage in certification of these officials. Especially, we have programs where we issue certificates, short duration courses, short-term courses, or in-service training. These are some of the things we do. We've certified people in the area of corruption prevention, in the area of corruption investigation. We've also organized programs for senior executives, for CEOs of organizations, and a lot of them have had a lot of good things to say about the training they got in ACAN. ACAN, as you asked, as part of the success story, it organized 2 major anti-corruption conferences. The icing on the cake of our service was actually the Nigerian Corruption Index, which has been widely applauded by academics, by practitioners in the sector, by policymakers. This Nigeria Corruption Index focuses on a survey of ground corruption in Nigeria. And the beauty of it is that it takes an approach that differs from the approach that has been adopted by the Transparency International and, of course, the UN Office on Drug and Crime, UNODC. Most of the surveys that we have come across have focused on perception. We then felt that what is necessary for us to be able to understand corruption is first to focus on experience. Talk to people who have experienced corruption, not people who only hear about it and feel that there is corruption and perceive that there is corruption. And then again, it enables us to focus on sectors. When you look at some of the surveys on corruption, they are generalized. They don't say what happens in telecommunications, in oil and gas, in the judiciary, in the legislature, in the executive. These are things that we have done. The first one was published in 2020. The second one was meant to appear in 2021, but now it was completed. The survey was completed in 2022. The initial one was a pilot. The full survey had now been completed, and any moment from now, it's going to be published. That is also what I regard as an achievement. Apart from that, through the efforts of the chairman and the board of the ICPC, we were able to get a generous grant from the MacArthur Foundation to begin to focus on how we can use the norm and behavior change approach to address the problem of corruption. Last year alone, we had more than 8 different programs focusing on norm and behavior change, on how we can use that to design strategies for the implementation of the National Anti-Corruption Strategy. We need to expand this space to take in more people because we are now becoming more and more subscribed. We are anticipating that we are going to have very close to 30 programs this year, training programs. We are going to step up our implementation of the MacArthur project, which is on norm and behavior change. We are planning to hold 2 policy dialogues this year. Indeed, the chairman has mandated us to start working on one, which we're already working on, which is we are going to look at corruption and the budgetary process. How do we take corruption out of budgeting in Nigeria? Because virtually all of us know that one area, one Achilles heel of successive governments in Nigeria is the corruption we have in the budgetary process. So ICPC wants to look into it, throw a light on the budgetary process, recommend a solution to some of these areas where we have pitfalls. That's one. The second one is that we are going to do another policy dialogue on how we can use norm and behavior change to fight corruption. We have been on the field. We have done a lot of training. We want to bring in people, policy experts, practitioners, the public sector, the private sector, anti-corruption agencies to come and talk about how we can use this approach of norm and behavior change to address the problem of corruption. Because the thinking is that even though the law and order approach that we are used to is working to some extent, it hasn't solved our problem. So why don't we throw a light on other strategies? And one strategy that we are working on now, with the support of the MacArthur Foundation, is to look at the behavior of people, to look at their mindset, and see whether when we change that behavior, it will be an easier way of addressing the problem of corruption, instead of waiting to apprehend, prosecute, and punish.
Let's listen to the head of training at ACAN, Mr. Richard Bello, as he takes us through the training plans for the institution in 2023.
Training programs over the years have been targeted at law and order. What does the law say? What are the provisions of the law? If you violate the law, what are the punishments available? But we'll find that this strategy has not really deterred unscrupulous individuals that perpetrate acts of corruption. So for this year, we are focusing on understanding the social norms that drive people to commit acts of corruption, social norms that predispose people to corruption. And then with this understanding, you can then focus on how to train people to behave differently. So understanding of social norms so that they can influence behavior change. So in that direction, we have infused this component into the trainings, the programs of the academy for the year. So you'll find that almost every program of the academy has this component infused into our curriculum. The academy's mission is to be a center of excellence that promotes multidisciplinary approach to the fight against corruption. Take note of that multidisciplinary approach. And how do we do that? Through research, through documentation, through training, as well as advisory services. So what I've spoken to before now, you will find they cut across all this. We embark on research. You cannot develop, you cannot improve until you research and find out what areas are akin to, our improvement as an academy. What areas where do they really need training? So our trainings are targeted. It's not just about just training people. Where do they, but you even find that some people don't even know the trainings they need. Our analysis has shown that when you ask people, in what areas do you really need training, you'll find them asking for areas that may not even be relevant to the scope of their work. So we do our own research, and that's what our findings drive the way we develop our curriculum. We also take advantage of responses from participants regarding our facilitators. We don't believe we know it all. We believe in continuous improvement. We've had situations where we had to drop facilitators, not because they were not good enough, but teaching is not just about what you know, it's also about your ability to impact your audience with the knowledge you have.
You are still watching Corruption Must Go, and the focus is on the Anti-Corruption Academy of Nigeria, ACAN. The nature of corruption is constantly changing with time, and as a result, the Academy is tasked with the responsibility of coming up with innovative course content to help staff of the Commission and other trainees refine their expertise and, where necessary, reinvent to ensure success in eradicating corrupt practices in Nigeria. Again, Mr. Richard Bello discusses some of the key areas that ACAN is targeting to revolutionize the war against corruption.
It may be difficult to reach every nook and cranny of society using a single method. One of the methods we use, particularly for MDs, is to send out letters of invite every time we have programs. Okay, so that has been quite effective, reaching that particular audience. And then again, we do advertisement on national dailies at intervals, of course. And then the website of the academy, www.icpcacademy.gov.ng, can be accessed any time of the day. It can even be accessed from the website of the commission itself, the ICPC. So all our programs are listed. The brochure is also available on our website, so people can avail themselves the opportunity of going through the listings of our programs, the details of what they stand to gain, the course fees and all that. You can take advantage of that from the website. And then every time we have the opportunity of doing some other programs that are not necessarily training programs, we also take advantage of those media to reach out to the general public. So the research we conduct is not just for participants that come for our training. Like I told you earlier, the primary essence of the form is establishing the academy is to build the capacity of ICPC officials so that they can perform at the levels required of them. So we do research to know what areas they need training on, and of course it's not just what we want, it's also about what they want. So it's a two-way thing. We also try to build the capacity of sister agencies. In achieving that mission, you cannot rid Nigeria of corruption by working in silo. So we work with stakeholders, we work with sister agencies, we work with officers from federal MDAs, state MDAs, the public, the private sector, CSOs, apparently all sectors of society. So that is how we.
Welcome back. ACAN is for staff of ICPC, various government agencies and other organizations which share a common drive to eradicate corruption in Nigeria. Conferences, seminars, workshops, business meetings, professional exams, promotion and aptitude tests are some of the activities and services offered at the prestigious institution. Indeed, training and retraining is needed in the fight against corruption. So is research and documentation. All these are being achieved by the Anti-Corruption Academy of Nigeria. This is all we can take in this edition. Do not forget to join next week Wednesday 3:30 p.m. for another edition of the program. Follow us on our social media platforms showing on your screen, and be sure to give us your feedback through our short code 4272 and our toll-free numbers showing on your screen. See you next week, and bye for now.